Hi viewers, welcome back. This is Madhu Dharmapuri and the today's topic of the lecture is applications of Ampere's circuital law. In the previous video lecture, I have thoroughly discussed about Ampere's circuital law. If you have not watched it, do watch it so that it will be easy for you to understand this lecture. Okay, so in the beginning of this chapter, we have calculated magnetic fields produced by current carrying conductors using Biot-Savart's law. Right? So now in this lecture what we do is we calculate magnetic field due to current carrying conductors using Ampere's circuital law. Which means Ampere's circuital law is an alternate method for Biot-Savart's law. Okay? Now we will see some examples one after the other how Ampere's circuital law is useful to find out the magnetic field produced by different current carrying conductors. Okay, so this is the first example that I have taken. Find magnetic field B at a distance of R from long straight current carrying thin wire whose length is infinity. So very thin wire with length infinity, the straight wire. You can see this picture. I want to find out the magnetic field at this point P from this wire whose distance is capital R. Whose distance is capital R from the wire. Okay, so remember, before we apply Ampere's circuital law to any problem that is given, first we have to take care about what kind of Amperian loop is to be drawn so that the magnetic field magnitude remains zero or constant on the Amperian loop everywhere, and the magnetic field direction is along the path of the Amperian loop that we have chosen, so that the application of Ampere's circuital law is more useful. And also we should look at the symmetry of the object. Okay, so here the point is given where I have to find out the magnetic field. First let me draw an Amperian loop which must pass through the point. Okay, this is the Amperian loop that I have drawn. So this is a current carrying wire through which I current is passing, and my Amperian loop path I am choosing like this. Along the direction of the magnetic field, because if you stretch your right hand like this, thumb represents the current and four fingers represent the magnetic field direction, and along the magnetic field direction itself I am choosing the path of the Amperian. Okay, so this is Amperian loop that I have drawn, which is an imaginary loop. Okay, so on Amperian loop, if you see on this Amperian loop, what is the total current passing through it? Total current passing through the loop, that is I net, is equal to how much? It is I current is passing through the loop. It is like this. This is the current carrying thin wire and this is the Amperian loop. So I is the I net here. You see what is I net? From Ampere's circuital law, line integral B dot dl. The line integral is taken along closed loop, that is Amperian loop. which is equal to mu naught times the net current passing through that loop. The current which is crossing the area bounded by the loop, that is I net. So we are using this law to find out the magnetic field at this point P. So for that, first I am writing what is I net. What is I net? Which is passing through the loop, that is I, because we have only one current here which is crossing the area bounded by the loop. Okay, so this is the first point. The second point, what is the magnitude of the magnetic field on this loop everywhere? If you see, every point on this Amperian loop is equidistant from the wire. Every point from the Amperian loop, every point on the Amperian loop is equidistant from the wire, which means the magnetic field everywhere on the Amperian loop will be constant, right? So magnetic field, we don't know how much as of now, but we can say that it is constant because it is equidistant from wire. Magnetic field everywhere. This I am writing on Amperian loop is constant. That is B is equal to constant. Magnitude. The third point I can say on the Amperian loop, if you select any small segment on the Amperian loop, for example, I have selected a path here, dl, whose length is dl. Along this, the magnetic field direction is this. If I select the path here, magnetic field direction is this. And here, the magnetic field direction is this. Here, the magnetic field direction is this. Which means that magnetic field is along the small segment that we have considered on the loop everywhere. B is parallel to dl everywhere on the loop. Okay, so that is what we can write on the Amperian loop. Direction of magnetic field is along the loop path, that is B is parallel to dl. The path of the loop is the direction of the magnetic field. Everywhere the magnetic field is parallel to the selected path, that is parallel to selected path on loop. B is parallel to selected path on loop. That is what is selected path? That is dl. I have selected one small path. If you select this path everywhere on the loop, you will see B parallel to dl, which means angle between B and dl is 0. Okay, so with the help of these points that we have observed on this Amperian loop, which we have drawn passing through the point where we are finding the magnetic field, now we will apply Ampere-Circuital law. Okay, so from Ampere-Circuital law we have the closed line integral, the B dot dl along this Amperian loop, along the closed loop, is equal to mu naught I net, right? So from this Ampere circuital law, integral B dot dl is equal to, if I apply this to this, I can write integral B dl cos theta cos 0 here, cos 0 here, which can be written as integral B dl since B is constant everywhere on the loop, so I am putting B outside the integral, which is equal to mu naught I net, but I net is I. I net is I. The first point that we have written. Okay, which means B integral dl equal to mu naught I. What is integral dl here? What is integral dl here? Integral dl is nothing but total length of Amperian loop and Amperian loop is circular in shape, and hence integral dl is nothing but the circumference, which is equal to 2 pi its radius, integral dl, 2 pi times its radius. Okay, so using this I can write here as 2 pi r, which means what do we get for B? B at point P will be mu naught I by 2 pi r. This is the magnitude, mu naught I by 2 pi r. If we mention the direction, then we can put a bar here and we can say that it is, according to right hand thumb rule, the magnetic field at this point is inwards. So this is at P, this is going like this. Okay, so this is the magnetic field at point P due to this current carrying infinite thin wire, this magnitude and this is direction. If you observe this, this is same as we have calculated using Biot-Savart's law for this conductor. You can compare it by watching that video, which we have already discussed in one of our previous video lectures. Okay, now we will see another example how we can find out magnetic field using Ampere's circuital law. Okay, so this is the second example that I have taken. But find magnetic field at center of ideal solenoid of radius A carrying current. Okay, so what is solenoid first? Before we find out the magnetic field at the center of solenoid, what is solenoid first? About solenoid, we have made one lecture already. If you have not watched it, do watch it so that you will get complete idea about what is solenoid and what is ideal solenoid. But for now, I would like to revise quickly for a while so that you will get some idea about what is solenoid and what is ideal solenoid. Okay, solenoid is nothing but a wire wounded on a cylindrical non-conducting core like helix. Some wooden like tube or some plastic tube which is non-conducting, on which the wire is wound like helix. This is solenoid. If that is connected to battery, the wire is connected to battery, some current flows through it and it acts like a source of magnetic field. Okay, so what is ideal solenoid? Ideal solenoid is the length of the solenoid is very, very large when it is compared to its radius. Ideal solenoid is length of the solenoid is very, very larger than its radius. And in ideal solenoid, turns are very close to each other and they do not touch each other. You can visualize a solenoid like this, on which a wire is wound like helix. And if this length is infinity, like very, very large, and radius is very, very small, and turns are very close to each other, and they do not touch each other, in that case, that solenoid is considered as ideal solenoid. Okay, so if some I current is flowing through each turn of this solenoid, as I have shown here, if I look from this side, the current seems to come from outside from the top and goes inside from bottom, outside from top and goes inside from bottom, outside from top and goes inside from bottom, outside from top and goes inside from bottom. This is how the current direction looks like if I see from this side, which means it is coming out and going in, coming out, going in. So it's a clockwise direction for me for this position. So according to clock phase rule, since this solenoid carrying current is acting like a magnet, it must have two poles, and south pole is the side from which the current seems to be clockwise. So if I see from this side, so this will be south, this will be north, because if I see from this side, the current seems to be in the anti-clockwise direction. So according to clock phase rule, this will go for south pole and this will be acting as north pole. Okay, so now let us take one small turn out of that solenoid and we see how magnetic field lines are distributed both inside and outside that turn. Okay, so if this is one turn through which I current is flowing like this, it is coming out from top and going in from bottom, right? So the magnetic field direction can be seen by using your right hand. Keep your thumb in the direction of the current and your four fingers wrap in such a way that they represent the magnetic field direction. So if I put my hand on the top of this turn, then the magnetic field lines will go like this. Because current is outside on the top. Now current is going inside at the bottom like this. Here, keep your thumb like this. This is the magnetic field direction. The magnetic flux lines are in this way for 1 turn. If you take 2 turns, for each turn they look like same. Here it is like this, here it is like this, and here it is again like this, here it is again like this. If there are n number of turns like this, and if they are very close to each other, and if the solenoid is very larger in length in compared to radius, which is called as ideal solenoid. So for ideal solenoid, the magnetic field lines will look like this. Magnetic field lines for n turns. In the interior of the solenoid, that is here, the magnetic field line, because they are very close to each other, all of them will be added up. The magnetic field here, and the magnetic field into the next turn in the interior of the solenoid. Because they are very close to each other, the magnetic field lines are straight in the interior of the solenoid. This will be very close to this, the next one will be very close to this. So all these things will be added up. So magnetic field lines in the interior of the solenoid are straight, parallel. This is parallel to this, and equidistant from one another. I am talking about ideal solenoid whose length is very large compared to its radius. In the interior of the solenoid, the magnetic field lines will be very straight, parallel, and equidistant from one another. And because of its smaller radius, outside magnetic field is considered as 0, because it is very small, and magnetic field strength is uniform inside, because their field lines are parallel, equidistant, straight. As the length of the solenoid is increased, the magnetic field will become uniform in the interior of the solenoid, and the magnetic field outside the solenoid will become weaker and become 0 for ideal solenoid. So this is what I have written here. The magnetic field lines for ideal solenoid looks like this for n number of turns. B is 0 outside. I have written this here. Magnetic field lines are straight, parallel, and equidistant in the interior of solenoid. That is, B is uniformly distributed in the interior of the solenoid. Then outside solenoid, the magnetic field is assumed as 0. See, they are assumptions. They are assumptions. For long solenoid, whose length is very large than its radius, the magnetic field is assumed as uniform in the interior of it and is considered as 0 outside. Okay, so with this knowledge of solenoid, now let us try to find out the magnetic field at center of ideal solenoid, whose radius is A and carrying current I through each turn. Okay, so now we will see that. So here I have taken a part of the solenoid nearby the center. Then if it is assumed as center of the ideal solenoid, on its axis, remember, we are going to find out the magnetic field at the center of the solenoid on its axis. What is axis? Which is passing through the center of the solenoid. Okay. So at center point P, I'm going to find out the magnetic field, and I'm going to use Ampere's circuital law for this. So what is Ampere's circuital law? Integral B dot dl equal to mu naught I net. What is I net? It is a total current passing through the Amperian loop that we have considered. What is Amperian loop? Now we will see. So before you apply Ampere's circuital law to any problem, first you have to choose a correct Amperian loop, which is an imaginary loop, which must pass through the point where you are finding the magnetic field. So for that, I am taking an Amperian loop like this in a rectangular shape. This I have taken in the rectangular shape. What is this? This is Amperian loop. Rectangular. In shape, rectangular in shape. Okay, so let me give some identification for this. This end is E, this end is F, this end is G, and this end is H. E, F, G, H. E is the closed loop. E, F, G, H, E. Okay, so what are the total number of turns in the solenoid? Total number of turns in the solenoid is turns in solenoid is capital N. Okay, and number of turns for unit length is small n, which is equal to capital N by L. Okay, and current through each turn is equal to I. Current through each turn is equal to I. These are the specifications for the given solenoid. So with the help of these specifications for the given solenoid, now let us try to find out how much current is passing through the Amperian loop that we have considered. Because if you want to apply Ampere's circuital law, I net is the current, the net current passing through Amperian loop. This is the net current passing through Amperian loop. So first let us try to find out how much is I net. Okay, so for that we know that current through each turn is I and number of turns per unit length is N. So let us say that length of this rectangular Amperian loop as L and width of it is B. Rectangular loop length is L and width is B. Okay, so with the help of that now we can say in 1 turn current is I. Okay, then how many turns are there in the Amperian loop? How many turns are there? The total number of turns in the Amperian loop. See, n is the number of turns per unit length. In 1 unit length, number of turns is n in 1 unit length. Then length of my Amperian loop is L. Then in L length, number of turns will be n into L, because in 1 unit length we have small n number of turns. Then in L length, how many number of turns should be there? Nl. So which means this is number of turns in Amperian loop. What is Nl here? So that is number of turns in Amperian loop. Is equal to n into L, right? And in 1 turn, current is I. In 1 turn, current is I. Then in NL turns, current should be NL into I, because in 1 turn current is I. Current through each turn is I, which means this is nothing but current passing through Amperian loop is equal to I net equal to NL into I. So this is how we can calculate how much current is passing through Amperian loop by using specifications given to the solenoid. So right hand part we have calculated what is NLI, what is I net, what is NLI. Now we will try to calculate what is the total line integral of magnetic field along this closed Amperian loop. That we will calculate now. Okay. So let me keep this I net here. I net that we have got as NL into I. Keep this in mind, because we are going to substitute it later. Right? So now we will take Amperian loop that we have considered and calculate what is total line integral along its path on a closed loop. Okay, so that I will divide like this: integral B dot dl is equal to integral e to f B dot dl plus integral f to g B dot dl plus integral g to h B dot dl plus integral h to e B dot dl. So I have divided into 4 sides so that total line integral along this closed Amperian loop we will get. So now we will calculate one after the other and substitute them back in this, so that we will get what is total line integral of net magnetic field along that loop. Okay, so for that, first let me take this along EF, okay, length of loop is L, length of loop is L, and B parallel to DL everywhere. See, magnetic field direction is on the along the axis in the interior of the solenoid. Magnetic field direction is along the axis, and length is like this. I've taken my loop like this. So B and DL, what is DL? This is DL, the small segment on this side, EF is DL. So if I take DL anywhere on this EF, that DL will be parallel to B, because B is on the along the axis in the interior of ideal solenoid. So B is parallel to everywhere, DL everywhere on along EF. And since B is uniform in the interior of solenoid, I said here, B magnetic field lines are straight, parallel, equidistant in the interior of solenoid. What does that mean? Magnetic field is uniformly distributed in the interior of solenoid, which means B is constant everywhere along EF. Everywhere along EF, B is constant. So using this, I can write integral E to F B dot dl as integral E to F B dl cos 0, because B and dl are parallel, which means in B E to F dl. B is taken outside the integral because B is constant and cos 0 is 1. And integral E to F dl is what? The sum of all these dl's along EF, which is nothing but equal to the total length integral dl from E to F is L, which means this is B into L along EF. We have calculated what is this. So this is calculated. Right? Now we will see along FG, along FG. If you see along FG, the magnetic field direction is along axis or in the interior, for example, here, and DL is perpendicular to it. If I consider DL everywhere on FG, this is DL. DL direction is this and magnetic field direction is this. Everywhere. So B and DL are perpendicular. B is perpendicular to DL. B is perpendicular to DL. This is enough to solve this integral, which means integral f to g b bar dl is equal to f to g b dl cos 90 which is 0. Okay, so this is along FG. Now we will see along GH. Along GH, magnetic field is 0 because outside the ideal solenoid, B is assumed as 0, which means integral G to H is equal to 0 since B is 0. Since B is 0. So this is calculated and this is calculated. Finally, along HE, again here magnetic field direction is this and DL direction is this. DL direction is this, magnetic field direction is this. So everywhere DL is perpendicular to B. B is this. DL is perpendicular to this. So B is perpendicular to DL. Hence integral H to E is equal to H to E BDL cos 90 is equal to 0. So this is done. Now if you see, first integral value is BL, second integral value is 0, third integral value is 0, and fourth integral value is also 0. Now if you substitute all of them in this equation, then we will get total line integral. Okay, so that I will do. Only the first one is contributing, that is BL, and all other integrals are zeros, which means this will be BL plus 0 plus 0 plus 0, which is BL and from this equation we can say BL equal to mu naught I net. I net is what? NLI. This we have already calculated. So this L and L cancels. What do we get? B is equal to mu naught Ni. B is equal to mu naught Ni, which is at center of solenoid, at center of ideal solenoid. Direction is parallel to axis. Direction is parallel to axis. Okay, so if you write this in terms of direct, this is actually magnitude and direction is this, you can write this. B bar is mu naught Ni, including direction. This was already calculated using Biot-Savart's law in another video. We can compare this with that. Okay. So this is how we use Ampere's circuital law for finding magnetic field due to current carrying conductors. So in this lecture, what we have seen, we have calculated magnetic field due to current carrying infinite wire, and we have calculated magnetic field at the center of an ideal solenoid on the axis of it. So hope you have understood. If you have any doubts regarding this lecture, you can put your doubts under the comment section. So thank you very much.